Anakin Skywalker has been a part of Ahsoka's story for as long as we've known Ahsoka. But I think this theory is taking that whole idea a little too far. Welcome to Star Wars Uplink. Let's jump in. While I am quite disappointed with the whole marketing strategy around Ahsoka, they're slowly ramping things up. And with that ramp up, we're getting not one, but two trailers that just recently launched within a couple hours of each other. One's a TV spot, which has some pretty good footage. I'm putting that up on the screen now. And the other is this very fascinating, cross between all of the Star Wars saga and how it affects Ahsoka. I still think they need to get into the idea around who the heck Ahsoka is, because I talked to a bunch of friends of mine who are very heavily invested in Star Wars as a whole. They never watched Clone Wars. And when Ahsoka showed up in Mandalorian, they had no idea who the heck Ahsoka was. So I don't think they're really doing a good job of bringing new audience or new people or new fans of Ahsoka into this show. It does seem like it's going to have some good nods for the deep Ahsoka fan, the person that did watch the Clone Wars, the person that watched Rebels and really understands the character of Ahsoka. So I guess they've got that side of things down for sure. But what the heck is this theory? Well, that's why I bring up this whole trailer. It has a lot of the Anakin and Obi Wan scenes from the Obi Wan Kenobi show, which, brings up the whole nostalgia around the prequels. The prequels are something that people are really becoming big fans of again. It seems like it's now okay to say, hey, the prequels are pretty good, guys. And I think that's partly due to stuff like Obi Wan Kenobi and just the rise of meme culture with the show. So I think that's definitely part of it. But in terms of where this theory starts picking up, that's where people started theorizing about what this could mean for Ahsoka. Like I said, this trailer has a lot of the nostalgia bait kind of stuff with Anakin and Obi-Wan, as well as the sequel trilogy. So they're definitely leaning into the whole idea around the Mandoverse ultimately leading into the sequels, which I think that's what it needs to do. The sequels aren't getting washed away. The sequels are there to stay, whether you like it, love it, hate it, or just are like, okay, fine, they're Star Wars. They're definitely a big part of the Star Wars universe now, and they're here to stay. The theory is because of all these references. We're going to see a Hayden Christensen as Anakin return, but it's going to be a fight between Anakin and Ahsoka. This could be a flashback. This could be a dream. Some people are saying it's a flashback. But honestly, if it's going to happen, more than likely it's going to be a dream. It's got to be some kind of vision, some kind of inner turmoil, representation of the struggles that Ahsoka is going into. I want to start this video off with kind of going and entertaining the idea around this whole theory. While I don't necessarily believe it, let's give it a little bit of credence here and see what this would look like. I think in terms of a marketing ploy, Disney is always looking for ways to bring in people. That's why they had the whole Vader versus Obi-Wan thing in the Obi Wan Kenobi show. While it didn't necessarily make sense in Star Wars for the canon and what Obi-Wan says in A New Hope, they used it in all of the marketing. They hyped it up big time to have this whole return of the apprentice versus the master. So I think that gives it a little bit of credence. I think it is okay, and it makes a little bit of sense for Anakin to be involved in the story of Ahsoka in this time frame. But honestly, this is where I switch gears and I'm like, okay, why would they do this? Why do they think this is a good idea? I think Ahsoka needs to tell her own story. I don't think it needs to be on the back of Anakin anymore. I don't think we need that anymore. I think this is after the whole original trilogy. This isn't even after the prequels Rebels was. They had the moments of Darth Vader versus Ahsoka. They had all of that. I don't think it makes sense for them to go back and tell that story again, even further into the future. Obviously, Anakin is always going to be a part of Ahsoka's story. I don't think she needs it anymore. I don't think it makes sense for them to really bring into the fray this idea of Ahsoka and Anakin anymore. Well, I think, yes, everyone would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're getting this kind of fight again. I can't believe we're going to see Anakin versus Ahsoka, the showdown that we all thought would happen in Clone Wars, right? This is why I'm scared it's going to happen, because the more I talk about it, the more it makes sense from a marketing perspective, from bringing in people, from fans of Clone Wars, from fans of Rebels into this Ahsoka show. But I think just the existence of it being an Ahsoka show it makes it not necessary for this to be a thing, right? Everyone's going to be there to see what Ahsoka is doing now in this new era, in this new part of the galaxy, in the Mandoverse. We all saw Rebels. We all saw Clone Wars. We saw where Ahsoka started, where her middle and towards the end began, and now we're seeing this next chapter in her life. I don't think we need to see more of the same stuff that we saw back to back and constantly around Anakin, Darth Vader, and Ahsoka. I think that ship has passed. I think it's time for them to move past that and bring us some new stories with these characters. Because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to see what Ahsoka's doing now, not her fears. She went through a bunch of the fears and did a lot of growth in Rebels around her character arc. She had some fears, obviously, around leaving the Jedi, and we see this mentioned in discussions around Ahsoka, and even in the trailer, like I left Sabine just like I left the Jedi and I left Anakin. So I think, again, Anakin's going to be a part of the story. I just don't think it's necessary for them to fight. I don't think we need this visual representation of Ahsoka battling her past demons. I think it's clear. We don't need that anymore, right? We saw Ahsoka go through the inner turmoil of going against Darth Vader, who ended up being, surprise, surprise, Anakin Skywalker, her former master. We see that in Rebels. We see her take the journey of realization and understanding of what that means and how far lost and how far into the hatred that Anakin went to bring him to that moment. I don't think it's necessary for this part of Ahsoka's story to be told in this show. While yes, I think it makes sense in terms of bringing Anakin into the story. Anakin is a part of Ahsoka's story, but that was her past. I don't think Anakin needs to be a part of Ahsoka's future, especially in this new type of storytelling. In this TV show, live action, smaller, more condensed version of Ahsoka's story. And in this part of the galaxy, we are after the original trilogy. We're after the fall of the Empire, and the remnants of the Empire are there. Darth Vader is dead at this point. And Ahsoka is trying to rebuild the ashes of what we see with Sabine. I don't think we need to focus on Ahsoka's past. We need to focus on Ahsoka's future. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Am I just completely out of my mind here? Am I just mindlessly talking? Am I being too cynical? I'm excited about this show. I think it's going to be a really fun look. I'm just scared that they're going to be so unsure of bringing people in that they start throwing these weird things at us. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this and everything else in this video. Let me just ask the question. Do you think we're going to see Anakin in this show? Yes or no? Why do you think that? Let me know in the comments below. As always, hey, check out our podcast, and may the Force be with you.